Have you ever felt like your phone is basically a part of your hand? Or that your attention span, well, that it's just not what it used to be? We're about to dive into the work of a man who saw all of this coming more than 60 years ago. His name was Marshall McLuhan. And his big, kind of unsettling idea was this: the technologies we use aren't just tools. Nope. They're actively rewriting our brains. Just let that one sink in for a second. Seriously, think about the last time you got into it with someone online. Was it about politics, some movie, a news headline? Well, McLuhan's point is that the topic didn't matter. Not really. What mattered, the thing that had a real lasting impact, was that you were doing it through a glowing screen with your thumbs in an environment designed to keep you hooked and angry. The real story isn't the headline, it's the screen. And that was the bombshell he dropped on a world that was just starting to get obsessed with its tech. To really get this, you have to picture the scene. It's 1967. The world feels like it's coming apart at the seams. You've got the Cold War, you've got the Vietnam War being beamed into living rooms for the very first time, but you've also got the crazy optimism of the space race. And everyone, I mean everyone, is glued to their TV. The arguments are just furious, all about the content, the news, the politics, whatever was flickering on the screen. And into this absolute chaos walks this quiet Canadian professor of English literature, Marshall McLuhan. He's not some pundit. He's not a politician. He doesn't take a side in the shouting match. He just calmly looks at this whole mess and changes the game forever. He basically tells everyone that they've been had, and he uses this incredible metaphor. He says all that content people are fighting over, the news, the sitcoms, the debates, it's just the juicy piece of meat a burglar throws to distract the watchdog of the mind. See, our conscious brain, that's the watchdog. It's trained to analyze the meat. Do I like it? Is it true? Do I agree? But while our brain is busy growling over the content, the real intruder, the medium of television itself, is silently sneaking in and rewiring the whole house. It's changing how we experience time, our need for constant stimulation, even what community means. And it's doing it all while we're not looking because we're too busy arguing about the meat. So how in the world did he see all this? Well, that's the journey we're going on. First, we'll see how that watchdog got put to sleep. Then, we'll go back in time to understand the world that made him, the Gutenberg Galaxy. After that, we'll get into his core idea, that our tech is always rewriting us. We'll even look at the system he built to see these invisible forces. We'll follow his path from outcast to oracle, and then we'll wrap it all up with one big lesson you can use right now. Okay, part one, the watchdog is asleep. Let's go back to that studio. Can you imagine the sheer shock? In a world completely obsessed with what was on TV, this guy has the nerve to say that none of it actually matters? You know, this wasn't just some clever line. It was a deep insight into how our brains work. We are hardwired to focus on the story, the argument, the thing right in front of us. But McLuhan saw our massive collective blind spot. The real message, the one that actually changes the world, isn't in the content. It's in the container. I mean, think about TikTok. We can argue all day about some trend or a dance, but the real message is the endless scroll. It's the short-form video. It's the algorithm that knows you better than you know yourself. That's what's rewiring our brains. For McLuhan, the actual revolution was the blue light of the screen, the fast edits, bringing the whole world right into your living room. And this is what led to his most famous and most misunderstood idea. The medium is the message. That right there is the McLuhan Law. It was basically a command: stop looking at the show and start looking at the screen it's on. He said every new technology is a high-stakes audit of our nervous system. He saw that TV was creating a global village, yeah, but he warned it wouldn't be some peaceful paradise. He called it an acoustic space. Imagine being in a room where you hear every single conversation at once, all the time. That's acoustic space. It's constant, overwhelming, and it creates nonstop friction. Sound familiar? He was basically describing the internet, the tribalism, the outrage, back in the 1960s, just by looking at a TV set. But that brings up a huge question. How did an English lit professor see all this when the so-called experts were totally in the dark? Well, to understand the prophet, you have to understand the world he came from. See, McLuhan was a man caught between two completely different eras. So what you're seeing here is this massive collision. On one side, you've got the Gutenberg Galaxy. That's the world built by the printing press, the world that ran on books for 500 years. Think about reading a book. It's quiet, it's private, it's logical, one page at a time. It trains your brain to be calm and analytical. But McLuhan was living through the birth of the electric age, TV, radio. This world was the total opposite. It was loud, public, and immersive. It was everything, everywhere, all at once. It wasn't about quiet logic. It was a full-on sensory assault that demanded you feel something right now. Now, because McLuhan had a foot in both of these worlds, he saw what no one else could. He watched his super smart colleagues, and he realized they had what he called literary blindness. They were trying to understand this crazy, chaotic new thing, television, using the old, tidy logic of a book. It's like asking a fish to describe water. They were so deep inside their own world that they couldn't see how it was shaping them. He knew it was a total dead end. And this is where it gets really deep. To everyone else, TD was just progress, a cool new gadget. McLuhan saw something way more alarming. He saw it as a sensory trauma. It wasn't just that things were getting faster. He said it was a biological mutation. Our nervous systems had been trained for centuries by books to be calm and detached. And now, all of a sudden, they were being violently rewired by electricity to be hyper-alert, emotional, and constantly overwhelmed. So while everyone else was oohing and awing over the new tech, McLuhan was like the coroner, examining the invisible wounds it was inflicting on us. Okay, so that's the world that shaped him. Now let's look at the core philosophy he built. Because he didn't just complain about this sensory trauma, he turned it into a powerful system for predicting the future. We shape our tools, and thereafter our tools shape us. This line is everything. It's the anchor for his whole worldview. I mean, we all tend to think technology is neutral, right? A hammer is just a hammer until you pick it up. McLuhan said that's a dangerously naive way to look at it. He argued the tool is never neutral. From the second we create it, it starts to reshape us, our habits, our expectations, even our brains. He called this an outering of the body. His point was that our tech is never separate from us. It's an extension of us. A wheel is an extension of the foot. A telescope is an extension of the eye. Simple enough. But then he takes it further. A telephone is an extension of our voice and ear. And here's the kicker for us today. A computer, a smartphone, is an extension of our central nervous system. Now, when you outer a part of yourself like that, something really spooky happens. You numb the very part you extended. He called it narcissus narcosis. Just like Narcissus fell in love with his own reflection and became numb to the real world, we become numb to the effects of our own technology. The scroller doesn't feel their own mind being rewired. And right there, that's his secret weapon. This philosophy gave him a totally different way of looking at things. Everyone else was asking, is this TV show good or bad? McLuhan was asking, how does the screen massage our senses? What new reality is it creating? By focusing on the form, not the content, he could predict the future with terrifying accuracy. He basically became an architect of perception, drawing up blueprints for the future while everyone else was still arguing about the present. Okay, so this is a really cool philosophy. But McLuhan wasn't just an idea guy. He was a systems guy. He needed to turn this mindset into a practical tool, a protocol for seeing the invisible. So he came up with what he called the probe protocol. He thought old-school academic theories were useless in this new electric storm. So instead of theories, he launched probes. A probe is a deliberately provocative statement, like, the medium is the message. It's not supposed to be a neat little answer. It's supposed to be a mental hand grenade. It's designed to jolt you out of your normal way of thinking so you can see a whole new pattern. He famously said, I don't explain, I explore. He wasn't giving you a map, he was giving you a compass. And the main tool for that exploration was this, the Tetrad of Media Effects. It's a 4-part audit for any technology. Let's run the smartphone through it really quick. 1. What does it enhance? Connection, information, yeah? 2. What does it make obsolete? Boredom? Being lost? Landlines? 3. What does it retrieve? This one's tricky. It retrieves the old tribal campfire, that constant, instant awareness of what everyone in your tribe is doing. And 4. What does it reverse into when you push it to its limit? Well, a tool for connection reverses into a tool for isolation. A tool for information becomes a tool for distraction. This isn't just a checklist. It's a way to see the whole, messy, 4-dimensional picture of any invention. And here is my favorite part. He didn't just talk the talk. His books are wild. They're not written in a straight line. They're built in what he called a mosaic composition. Just these little clusters of ideas, quotes, and images you can read in almost any order. Why? Because he was making the book feel like the thing he was describing. He was forcing you, the reader, to experience the nonlinear, all-at-once chaos of the electric world. The medium of his book was the message. He was living his own theory. So where did all this radical thinking get him? Well, it completely re-engineered our understanding of technology. But for him personally, it came at a huge cost. For years, the academic world he came from, they trashed him. They called him a charlatan, a fraud, just a pop culture fad. His peers were so stuck in their old ways of thinking that they just couldn't see it. He was trying to describe a whole new world, and they just called him a liar because it didn't fit their old maps. That was the price he paid for seeing the future first. But then, history proved him right. Decades later, when the internet, the global village he predicted, actually happened, a whole new generation discovered his work and their minds were blown. Wired magazine, the Bible of the digital revolution, literally called him their patron saint. The guy the old guard called a fraud became the prophet of the new age. And that's his ultimate legacy. He permanently destroyed the comforting myth that our technology is neutral. He proved that the electronic circuit, by extending our nervous system across the entire planet, is the most powerful tool for social re-engineering ever invented. And he left us with a chilling warning. The more powerful our tools get, the more they require a numb, unaware user to operate them. His life's work was basically a survival guide for staying awake in an age designed to put us all to sleep. Which brings us to the final takeaway. Because this whole story isn't just about old TVs or the internet. It's about a timeless fight for your own mind in a world that's trying to control it. So what does this mean for you right now as you're watching this on a screen? If you forget everything else, the watchdog, the sensory trauma, the tetrad, what is the one lesson you need to walk away with? The lesson is simple, and it's also kind of brutal. The medium is the message isn't just some theory about society, it's a personal diagnosis for you. The digital world you live in, the apps you use, the feeds you scroll through, they are not passive tools. They are actively and relentlessly shaping how you think, what you feel, and who you are. To put it simply, the medium you are in is the message you will become. And your only real defense is to be constantly, vigilantly aware of that fact. So here's the final challenge. Do an audit of your own life. Use the tetrad. For every app you use, ask yourself, what does this enhance? What does it make obsolete? What does it bring back? And what does it turn into when I push it too far? Understand how these things are messing with your senses when you're not paying attention. Don't just be an expert on the content, become an expert on the container. Because in a world designed to process you, the only way to stay free is to understand the system. Stop being a numb user and start building your own law.